Hello guys and welcome back to the channel, and today I've got a very shocking one for you. Viewer discretion is very much advised in this video as there are some upsetting details, and I will be including a recording of the real 911 call from this actual crime. So today's case takes place in Sydney, Australia, and we are talking about 57-year-old Rita Camilleri. She was born in 1962 and she lived with her husband Vince and their two daughters, Christy and Jessica. Christy was the older of the two and she had a 4-year-old son who Rita loved to care for, to look after. This little boy was her life. She was a very cheery, outgoing, optimistic kind of person, very much beloved by everyone, and her family pretty much was her life. A bit of an issue in Rita's life was dealing with her daughter Jessica, the younger of the two. She had an IQ of what was said between 55 and 60. She was developmentally delayed and she had a condition known as intimate explosive rage disorder. She was also on the autism spectrum. She was known to explosive rages for no particular reason. She had lots of issues surrounding pattern and fixation on different things. And she was managed as well as could be by obviously her mum and dad, Vince and Rita. But when Jessica was a teen, Rita and Vince separated. Her older daughter Christy at this time lived away from home with her son, so Rita was left with Jessica to be her 24-hour, 7-day-a-week carer. Jessica was the kind of girl who her disorder meant that she would fixate on particular things. And one thing that Jessica fixated on was horror movies. Now, I'm a massive horror fan myself, but Jessica would like to watch specific parts of the movies and rewind them to watch gory scenes over and over again. And rather than be disgusted or frightened by these, she seemed to enjoy them. Her favourite that she watched relentlessly was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And her mum did worry a little bit about this, but a love of horrors or maybe violent video games has in the past, even particular music, heavy metal, has been blamed on things happening, which we all know really is not the case. But in this case, the love of horror movies, I think, was just another sign of much deeper issues that Jessica was dealing with her own mental health. Jessica was also obsessed with pattern, fixating on particular numbers, 2, 3 and 5 being her favourite. She would put these in different patterns and repeat them until she would get phone numbers, and she would repeatedly call these telephone numbers and would be quite vile down the phone to whoever was at the other end. If a particular person answered the phone, she would fixate, she would make a note of that number and she would repeatedly call it. She was calling some individuals up to 100 times a day. And if they weren't particularly receptive to this and they maybe became a bit short-tempered, she would explode in one of her infamous rages and would make threats to come and cut their head off, to kill them. She told one person that she hoped he died of cancer. She just would be particularly vile on the telephone to these people, but this was all part of her psychiatric condition. So in 2018, Jessica was still very much making those phone calls, but she started calling a local meat company, and there was someone that worked there by the name of Matthew Lloyd. She became fixated on his voice and she would call him repeatedly many times a day. And not only that, she then managed to get access somehow to Matthew's wife's telephone number and his sister-in-law's number, and she would repeatedly call them and just be quite vile down the phone. She would threaten to cut their heads off and flush them down the toilet. Now, Matthew managed to get hold of Rita, Jessica's mum's telephone number, and he called her and he said, "This has to stop. She's calling my family members, she's making really horrible threats. You need to really get Jessica looked into, make this stop." So at this time, Rita did actually start to look into psychiatric help for Jessica. Now, over the years, she had been seen by many doctors. She had been tried on much medication. She had many different kinds of treatment, and nothing really seemed to help. At this time, Rita did get Jessica admitted to a psychiatric facility for 9 days, and she was tried on many different medications, but as soon as she was released 9 days later, Jessica immediately stopped taking all of her medications and just went straight back to the Jessica, sadly, that everyone had come to know. So it's the 19th of July 2019, and Jessica again has got hold of an elderly man's telephone number, and she's called him over 40 times and he gets quite short and abrupt with her. This is the individual that Jessica says she hopes that he gets cancer and dies, and he is able to contact her mother. And obviously when she finds out what Jessica's been saying again over the phone following her psychiatric treatment, she takes Jessica down to the local police station in the hope that the police can talk some sense into her and tell her that what she's doing is wrong, how she's frightening people. But all this does is enrages Jessica further that her mother has dared take her to the local police station. So it's the following day, the 20th of July 2019, and Jessica is still not particularly happy with her mum from the day before. Rita is looking after her 4-year-old grandson this day. This is Christy, her other daughter's son, and her neighbour, Mrs. Hurd, her friend from next door, contacts her and says she's got really bad chest pains. Could you possibly take me to the doctor? And of course, being a good friend, Rita says not a problem. I've got my 4-year-old grandson here. I just need to get him ready and we'll take you straight away. So as she's getting things together, getting her 4-year-old ready, Jessica is just completely going off on one. Firstly, she's not happy that the fact that her mother has something else has taken her attention. She's jealous of her nephew, the 4-year-old, and she's also doubly angry that now Mrs. Hurd is receiving attention. She starts to shout and yell abuse at the 4-year-old, that it's his fault, that he's taken so long, and why does he even have to come anyway? Can we not leave him behind? And obviously Rita's trying to explain to her daughter, he's 4, we can't leave him behind, he needs to be looked after. But Jessica very much never liked her mother's attention to be on anyone else. So they reach eventually the doctor's surgery, and Rita and Jessica proceed to have a very loud argument in the waiting room. Jessica has again gone off in a rage at her mother, and her mother's very embarrassed and visibly looks embarrassed. People are walking away from the area that they're sitting in. Jessica is absolutely livid at her mother for being embarrassed, and Jessica also says that her mother embarrassed her in front of a young man that was in the waiting room for having this row in the first place. So things just from the day before with the visit to the police station, today taking the friend to the doctors, looking after her grandson, the incident in the waiting room, things are just building and building between mother and daughter. So that evening comes around and Jessica has not calmed down at all. Rita calls a local doctor and asks him to come out to see Jessica, which he does, but Jessica refuses point blankly to see him, and he has no option but to leave. Rita is just getting desperate. She doesn't know what to do, so she tells Jessica that she is going to call the ambulance and have the ambulance come and take her away. So as Rita tries to make the telephone call to the ambulance, Jessica attacks her and grabs the phone from her and hangs the phone up. Not to be deterred, Rita heads to Jessica's bedroom in search of her mobile phone to make the phone call, and Jessica runs after her in a complete blind rage, grabs her mother by the hair and pulls her from her bedroom through to the kitchen, where she grabs a knife from a knife block and proceeds to stab her mother about the face and head. This attack obviously goes on and leads to Rita's death. Jessica grabs knife after knife from the knife block, one after the other knife breaks. She stabs her mother up to 100, possibly over 100 times. Not happy with what she has done. These details are gruesome, folks, so please be aware. She actually decapitates her own mother. She slices out her tongue and her eyeballs and half of her mother's nose. When all this is going on, the 4-year-old grandson runs into the kitchen as he obviously hears what's happening. He bravely, this little boy, this 4-year-old, tries to put himself between Rita and Jessica. Now in the accounts, I don't know whether he came in before, obviously, what the horrible things Jessica did to her mother's body, or whether it was at the stage where she was just stabbing her mother that the little boy came into the room. But Jessica just lashed out and sliced him across the face. He ran off in complete terror, thankfully into a bedroom, and locked himself in there. He was absolutely terrified and obviously injured, and thankfully Jessica was unable to get to him. With her mother very, very clearly deceased, Jessica picks up her mother's head and leaves the house. As she's walking towards her neighbour's house to say what she's done, she drops her mother's head, picks it up again and continues on her way. She drops it for a second time, looks down and decides to leave it there and goes to her neighbour's, where she tells her neighbours that there is an emergency and she needs to talk to the police. I'm going to insert the police, the actual real 911 call here. This is quite lengthy. It is worth listening for context now that you know what. Now, I heard this phone call before I knew the story, which was why I actually looked into this story. When we come back after the telephone call, I will tell you the culmination of the story.
Hello.
Hello, this is Alison from Police Emergency. We just received a call from this number.
Yes, I need you to get the ambulance and the police out here immediately.
To which address?
Please come. I need you. This is a immediate life or death situation.
Which suburb or town is that in?
St. Clair.
Okay,
St.
so
Clair.
St. Clair, and what's the nearest crossroad, please?
What's the nearest one? Listen, can you talk to the neighbour? I'm flustered. Can you just talk to him? Could you? Because my hand's bleeding. Yeah. Thank you. Can you talk to? Oh, my finger's broken. I can't.
It's all right.
Okay, talk to him.
Hello?
Hi.
Yeah.
What's happened?
I don't know. We was just at home, but she just come in screaming for help. And when suddenly I opened the door, she said, just help me and call the police or ambulance. And she said to me, she had a fight with her mom, I think.
Okay.
My mum tried to stab me and I killed her, I think.
So did she just say her mum tried to stab her?
I don't know because of the...
Yes.
Yeah.
With a knife. And in self-defense, I think I killed her. Yes. Can you tell him to come immediately?
Yeah, can you please just come immediately, please?
Okay, so she believes that she may have killed her mother?
Yes.
Yeah, she said like this, yeah.
Yes.
And where, is this at, is that where you are at the moment?
Sorry, me?
Yeah, so where are you at the moment?
I'm in
Oh, okay, but she's,
yeah.
is she with you at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah, she's in the front yard of my house.
Okay, all right. So how old's her mother?
How old is your mother?
My mum's dead, I think.
But how old is she?
57.
57. So is she not conscious?
Nah.
I stabbed her because she tried to kill me.
Okay, and you didn't check if she was breathing?
No, we can't
Could you
go
come
there.
to the house? There's a kid in there. Could you come with me, please?
No, I can't go. Sorry about that. Nah.
Okay. There's a kid,
Okay.
a 4-year-old kid
Yeah,
on
no.
the in the house.
And is her mother severely bleeding?
No, because we didn't go to her house because I'm outside of my house because I can't go there.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so do you know what the lady's name is?
And my fingers are broken. My
Yeah,
fingers are broken.
her mother was just his name, her name.
Jessica Camilleri.
Is that your name? Is that the lady's name who called?
Yes. Can I talk to her? Lady, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Your name's
My
Jessica?
My fingers are broken.
Okay.
Mum has had enough of me because I admit I've been a challenge and this ongoing thing's been going for months anyway. She had enough of me. She grabbed me by the hair and dragged me from my room all the way to the kitchen, and she got a knife and she tried to stab me with it, and I grabbed the knife off her because I thought she was going to stab me, so I stabbed her back. And I was so heated up with anger, I just kept stabbing her, and I took off her head. Her head is, I ran to my neighbour, not this neighbour, my other neighbour before this one, who's on the other side. He was at work. I told him to call the ambulance and the police immediately. He's going to do so, but no one's at home because everyone in the family is at work now. Okay. So he wasn't much help. He said, all I can do is I'll call the police and the ambulance to my address, and I thought it was going to take a bit of time, so I ran to my other neighbour on the other side. Okay. And I had my mum's head in my hand. I know this sounds insane, but I was taking it for evidence to show the neighbour. In the struggle, in the frustration, I didn't know what I was doing. I cut her head off. I chopped her head off with a knife.
Okay, what type of knife was it?
There was all sorts of knives. There was about 7 knives I was stabbing her with. A few of the knives broke. When that knife broke, I got another one and did the same.
Where's the knives now?
They're all in the kitchen. There's blood everywhere. Yeah.
And you're outside the house?
Yes. The ambulance and the police have rocked up. Do you want to stay on the phone?
No, that's okay. What's your phone number, Jessica?
Look, you're better off. This is my mum's phone number, but my mum's not here anymore, okay? She's gone.
Okay, what's your date of birth?
October 12, 1993. Over here.
All right, I'll let you go speak to the police.
Yeah, hang up, okay?
Okay, bye.
Because I can't, I'm full of blood.
So I'm sure you will admit that is chilling stuff. When the police actually arrive Jessica is stood in night clothes, barefoot outside the house, covered from head to toe in her mother's blood. She actually says that it was self-defense, that her mother, as you heard in the call, her mother tried to go for her with the knife and she defended herself. Then she proceeded to ask if her mother's head could be reattached by a doctor and could her mother be saved. Now obviously we know there is a severe case of diminished responsibility here of Jessica's mental needs. Perhaps she needed a lot more support than she did receive. Jessica went on to have a 5-day trial where she was actually found not guilty of murder, but rather found guilty of manslaughter. She was sentenced to 21 years and 7 months to serve no less than 16 years and 2 months in prison. Her solicitor argued that complex overlapping psychiatric disorders removed her control over her own actions, which is why, and the jury agreed, which was why the sentence was changed from that of murder to manslaughter. Now, it said that she was sentenced to time in prison. I would have thought that she should have been sentenced to a psychiatric facility, surely. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was also cited in the court case and her fixation with this movie, and that what she did to her mother's body after death was due to her just fixation with these kind of scenes in these kind of movies. Her sister Christy has said very publicly that she will never forgive her sister or ever forget what she did. She's taken their mother from her, and also obviously she could have very well killed her sister's son, her nephew. Thankfully he is well. Obviously I would imagine at 4, witnessing something like that he may need to go on and have some form of counselling himself. But I can very well understand why Christy feels the way she does. And on the other hand, it's very, very sad that someone can get to this stage and carry out an act like this with such serious impairments to her mental health, and something was not done about this sooner. And it certainly was not through lack of trying by Rita. Rita very much looked into everything for her daughter. She loved her daughter. She had told friends she was at her wit's end. She didn't know what to do. They'd tried everything. They'd tried all the medications. They'd tried all the treatments. And obviously when she was admitted to the facility, they only kept her for 9 days. And when she left, she refused to take the medication. So this is a very upsetting one that has ended in the death of a very, very beautiful, wonderful woman. That a little boy has been robbed of their grandmother and 2 women have lost their mother. So yeah, that is the case this week, folks. You can let me know below in the comments how you feel about this, or if you find that call as chilling as I did. Thank you for watching, guys. I shall speak to you next week. Over and out from Lisa Loves.